Hello and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and it's really wonderful to be back with all of you here on the live stream today. This weekend, as you may know, EWN launched, we're very excited about this, launched our channel, the third channel actually on the network, called EWN One with the Earth. So we've had a weekend of very special programming, guest meditations, guest presentations. I was honored to host one of those yesterday. So we're back here. Course in Miracles hasn't gone anywhere, of course, nor has the workbook for students gone anywhere. And here we are, continuing on where we left off in these really intense, actually, frankly, and beautiful and high-level discussions of universal spirituality. This is what we're talking about in all of these live streams is universal spirituality. The Course in Miracles is just one way that the ultimate truth, is presented, and there are many. One of the beauties of A Course is that it is a self-study curriculum. If you're new to this, it is a self-study guide that one can take and apply to their lives wherever you are and whatever form of religious or spiritual practice you happen to have. It doesn't matter what tradition you come from. People all over the world have found that studying these ideas in A Course in Miracles has impacted and enhanced their own path, their own walk, if you prefer. And it does that. It does that. Why? It's universal in application. So it doesn't matter who you are, what part of the world you come from, where you find yourself, what your spiritual background is or isn't. This is universally applicable to everyone. So with that in mind, we continue on Workbook Lesson 45. If you're brand new to the workbook for students in A Course, it is one of three main components of a spiritual text that is called A Course in Miracles. There's one that's actually called the text, then there's a workbook for students, a manual for teachers, which has certain questions and answers that are very helpful in terms of terminology. And we will get to all of those on this live stream. I've chosen to start with the workbook for students. Now, the workbook is a series of 365 ideas. And the idea can be seen as a daily practice or a daily meditation, if you prefer. It's an idea that we work with in the way that the workbook suggests we work with it to give us something practical to do every day. This is one of the things that personally, to me, has made A Course in Miracles so profound and has made it the central component of my spiritual practice for the last 8 years now. And that is, it's practical and gives us something to do. And it's not about belief at all, in fact, contrary to a number of religious traditions and sectarian branches of religions in today's world. We're not asked to believe anything. We're not asked to believe that we're the Son of God. We're not asked to believe today's idea, God is the mind in which I think. Simply, we're asked to show up and practice these ideas, whether we believe them or not, which I think is liberating. It's quite liberating. It gives us freedom to be in charge of ourselves, because ultimately that is all we've got. We have our ability in the present moment to choose in favor of love. That's it, that's all. I could end today's live stream right there, but I won't. Let's talk about lesson 45, because today's idea is very profound, and I do want to go through some portions of this verbatim with you. It contains a foundational, and I do mean a very foundational idea of all of A Course in Miracles, and that idea is that ideas leave not their source. You'll hear this again from me. If you are a student of A Course in Miracles, you've heard this before. And well, we'll talk about it starting today. Ideas leave not their source. So the idea, lesson 45, is God is the mind in which I think. What we see in spiritual practice is that things are not as they seem. One finds spiritual practice because this is true, and we know it, that there's more to our experience, there's more to our existence than what appears to be going on in our daily cycle of human life in the world, with bills, with electricity bills, with meals, with eating, with going to the bathroom, with physical exercise, sleep, all of the things that seem to constitute life are just one level. And we know, and feel instinctively that there's more to it. Therefore, we begin to explore our own spirituality. God is the mind in which we think. What we think is reality is not. And again, it doesn't matter whether this idea immediately resonates with you or not, whether it hits home or whether you believe it or not, actually doesn't matter. What we see in the world is not what true vision would show us. And what we're thinking are not our real thoughts. Now, how can we say that? Well, our real thoughts are not hate thoughts. Only what God created is real love, loving thoughts. Now, those can be real for sure, right? But often we don't think loving thoughts, do we? We think hateful thoughts, we think separation thoughts. We live in a world where we have competitive economies. No matter what line of business you are in or were in, there's competition out there in the world. We seem to be opposed to one another, and we define and defend our personal territories accordingly in some ways that are blatantly obvious, like war, like hostilities and conflicts, and ways that are really, really subtle that we just don't see moment to moment. These are not, in fact, our real thoughts. Why? Ideas leave not their source. This is critical. This is critical to our understanding of spirituality in general, because what we're going for, no matter what your tradition, and I'm just talking A Course in Miracles here on this live stream, however, it applies, again, all across the board, we're awakening to the fundamental, the ultimate truth. That's all that has ever existed. Ideas leave not their source. Now, what does this mean? We can all do the math on this, and I hope that you will. I'd like to go through here, and I'm going to read paragraph 2 of lesson 45 in the workbook. So if you're following along, you'll know that there are kind of like the Bible, actually, there are a number of numbered paragraphs and sentences, so one can then, if in writing or a blog or a book or something, can cite specific passages of A Course in Miracles, much like one can cite verses in the Quran or the Bible. Okay, so there are some things that are numbered. I'm reading numbered paragraph 2, and if you don't have it, this is fine. Just go ahead and tune into this live stream. I'll read the whole thing here. It's very, very important and contains some foundational stuff that I want to share and talk about with you. Okay, so you think with the mind of God, therefore you share your thoughts with him, as he shares his with you. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike, or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore, your thoughts are in the mind of God, as you are. They are in your mind as well, where he is. As you are part of his mind, so are your thoughts part of his mind. Okay. And as you're following along, let's let that sink in. Let that sink in. If you're following the workbook for students, this is it's well worth reading over and over again. So we see the idea here. Ideas leave not their source. Here in the workbook, it says thoughts leave not their source. What we think with the mind of God, that's where our mind actually is. That's where we actually are. The extension of God is the extension of God. That's us. The Course refers to us as the Son of God, as you may see in the Bible, right? And whichever terms you choose to use, we are the extension of God. Ideas leave not their source. God is, therefore, the mind in which we think. This also means that we will awaken to the truth of who we really are. Why? It's God's will, our will as well. Same one. There is no separation of any kind. Ultimately, and we are talking ultimate truth here, reality, there is no separation of any kind. We can reach this, and we will reach this, and you will reach this because you have reached a point of no return. I will tell you that. You can look at that in a different way and use different language and phraseology on that for sure, right? But we've all, watching this live stream, reached a point where we cannot go back to a profoundly embedded sense of separation. We're on the way to peeling off those layers, so to speak. One way of looking at this is this train has left the station and full awakening is assured. It's all of our destiny. Why? Ideas leave not their source. God is the mind with which we all think, and we will succeed. Why? It's the will of God. In other words, it's our will. Same. There is no separation at all of any kind. And the workbook goes on really beautifully here to reassure us that as we practice this idea, and I would have you read lesson 45 in the workbook. By the way, if you don't own a physical hard copy, hardbound copy or paperback copy, an actual book copy of A Course in Miracles, there is a lot of information available online. One can simply Google lesson 45 and follow along that way. If you prefer to use your mobile phone, there are a number of apps, some of them very good. I've used a couple of them. And there are apps that you can use right there on your mobile phone to read this commentary and read how the workbook for students recommends that we practice this. Now, it's very reassuring today. It's very reassuring because it wants us to begin to experience that this is possible. It is our will. Our will and the will of God are the same. Only what God would have us do is possible. So if you think that today's idea is impossible, that you can't reach these true loving thoughts that we think with God and have never stopped ever thinking with God, if you think you cannot do that, well, think that only what God would have you do is possible. So the very start of the text of A Course in Miracles sums up the Course very succinctly and very beautifully in saying that nothing unreal exists. Okay. All of the thoughts of separation that we think do not exist. They're not our real thoughts. It also says right before that, nothing real can be threatened. In other words, the thoughts we think with God are reality, they're truth. They are all that is and cannot be threatened. Because there's no separation of any kind, there is no opponent. This does mean that we create all, and I do mean all, of our opponents and opposition. That is how powerful we are in truth. We can create a world. Now, we have a choice being here, appearing to be here in this thing called a human body, running around, communicating with each other. And that's the purpose of the body, is to communicate. We have a choice to communicate love or communicate fear. We have a choice to lift ourselves and everybody in the world out of suffering and frustration and pain and fear. Or we have a choice to stay stuck in it and perpetuate it. We have that choice every moment of every day. So ask yourself, if you gain nothing else from this, am I choosing love? Am I choosing love right now? And what does that look like? It's a good question. All right. This is just one way that we can practice this idea and really, really allow it to sink in. There's a tremendous bit of allowing and relaxing our iron grip on having to have everything so perfect and surrendering to the flow. In other words, to the will of the Holy Spirit, the will of God. It's about allowing this to pour through us. It comes through the physical body. This is how we are relating to each other in the world. You appear to be looking at me, whatever that actually is, right? You appear to be looking at a man talking to you on the screen. Okay. Who we really are is not this at all. God is the mind in which we think. Now, we will revisit variations of this idea again and again, especially in the days to come here in the workbook. But first, I would like to check in with all of you and see how you're doing. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer these right here on the live stream. So we've got a lot of people that are here today with us. All right, Robert, hello. And yeah, Wangari, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, welcome. It's great to see you on here. And Deidre, hello. And yes, choose love. Yeah, hi, Sherry, by the way. Hello, thank you for watching. Yeah, I choose love. That's the ultimate choice. I love that comment. So thank you for making that. That's what it's all about. We have a choice of love or fear. So which is it? And if and when we choose fear, because of our habitual tendencies, because of the ego, because of all of our conditioning, layers and layers and layers and lifetimes of conditioning, we just bring our attention back to the present moment as though our life were an entire walking, waking, living, breathing meditation, because it is. It is. Bring our awareness back to love. That is what we do. Now, even if you get swept away today for hours and hours and hours, and say 7 or 8 hours from now, you remember to bring yourself back to love, to the present moment, and just do it right then. And don't worry about the 6 to 8 hours that you spent running around doing something else. We really do need to give ourselves grace and love ourselves and forgive ourselves. It's very, very important. There are so many people that are quite competent at forgiving other people, but are brutal and harsh and really, really nasty to themselves. So let's all give ourselves some grace, because we're on the right track. The fact that you're watching this right now means 100% that you are on the right track. All right. So let's go forward with that loving attitude. Yeah. All right, love and lights, welcome here. Absolutely. Yes. Well, and yeah, wherever you're watching from, looks like there are people watching from West Australia. Okay, welcome. Yes, thank you. And it is middle of the night, I think, right? So wherever you're watching from, you can always catch the replay here. Thank you for this comment. This is wonderful, because it's literally a global audience. There are people watching from North America, Europe, Asia, now Australia as well. This is beautiful. And I'm so happy to be here with you. Now, I am here every day. So you can catch this on the replay. You can catch it here on the Facebook page for Enlightened World Network. Now, there are a number of programs here on the network every day. So you can also find all of these live streams for A Course in Miracles on the YouTube channel as well. That is Enlightened World Network on YouTube. Every show, every program in the network has its own playlist. So you can find A Course in Miracles 365 on their YouTube channel and catch replays if you don't see them here on Facebook. That's a great way to watch back live streams as well, because I've been doing this for about 2 months. So welcome wherever you're joining us from. This is wonderful. All right. Yes, and Robert is from Romania. Yeah, we've got people here from from New York. And hi, Kim. Hi. Yes, Kim has joined us here on the program, so it's great to have you on, and you're most welcome. Yeah, this is a message that we all need: is that let's choose love, and we cannot fail. Literally, literally. Ideas leave not their source. I'll say that again and again and again. It means God is the mind in which we think. We are part of that mind. We are that mind. Yeah. Not the ego. The ego is not who we are. The thoughts of fear, thoughts of pain, of separation are not our real thoughts. Our real thoughts are thought with God. And we are one. We are one. And that's a beautiful message. And I can't think, honestly, of a better way to conclude today's show. So thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. If I did not see your comments here on the live, I will get to them. And feel free to add comments too. I welcome you to leave me comments here on Facebook. I will get to those if you're catching the replay. So thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you've had a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you all back here again tomorrow. Have a great day.